Greetings, and welcome to the Bowling Green First United Methodist Church. We hope you enjoy what you're about to see, and you can find us at the corner of Broadway and Church Streets at 11 o'clock on Sunday mornings. Or you can find us online at bgmethodist.org and on Facebook at Bowling Green First United Methodist Church. Our fish story in this message is all about feeding people. We see Jesus feed a lot of people, but most importantly, he was meeting a need that they had. We're called to feed people in the same way so that their needs can be met and they can come to see God. So we're in the second Sunday of this series on God fishing. We're telling fish stories. And last week we talked about how God seeks us out and the way he kind of casts his line out to try and catch us. Even if we're stubborn like Samuel was and we don't bite down on the hook the first time, he still keeps casting that line out to try and get us. Now this morning we're at what do you do when you get the fish? You know, or what do you do now that you've got him in there a little bit? And so my first thought, whenever I think about feeding people and feeding something, I think of a phrase that I've said on a number of occasions. That is, have you ever used the phrase, "I'm so hungry I could eat a horse"? There we go. I'm so hungry I could eat a horse. I've said that. It's not that I'm going to go out and necessarily eat a horse. I've heard that a horse doesn't taste very good, so I'm not sure that I want to try to begin with. But it's saying that I am hungry and you better bring me tacos from Taco Bell. I think to this day that I am one of the reasons why Taco Bell is still in business up there. So, it's stating a need that we have to do something.
Julie's hungry.
I think Julie's hungry. It's turning out like I'm not going to look over there, not going to look over there, and not look. It's saying we have a need to do something. We've got a need that has to be filled, and so we've got to find a way of doing that. Now, we use food a lot of times for that because everybody is hungry. Everyone needs something to eat at some point in time, and so it is something easy that we can use. But back in about the 1940s, there's a guy named Abraham Maslow who came up with this. It's called the hierarchy of needs. And I ran across this the first time when I was studying organizational theory and organizational behavior, and especially as it was used, and this was, one of the places this was used was in business and manufacturing and in industry, and the thought behind it was that as you can meet more of your employees' needs, as you can move higher up on that hierarchy, your employees become happier and healthier and more productive and more efficient. And especially as you get up closer to the top, they begin to be able to innovate and to think kind of outside of the box and do things for your business that you couldn't think that they would be able to do. Now, there are a lot of folks that take a lot of issues with different parts of this or with the whole thing, but the basic point of it holds. The basic point of it is really important, and that is that we all have needs that have to be met. And if we can't meet those needs, it's really hard to take that next step forward unless that need that is right in front of us gets taken care of somehow. Because that's what we have. That's what we've got to deal with. And it may not be anything that we have done or anything anyone has done to us. It just is a fact of our existence that we've all got needs that have to be met before we can take that next step forward. Inside of the church, we kind of distill this down a little bit more, and the way that I've kind of phrased it for us in this series is these three words: seeking, feeding, and growing. Where first we start off, we reach out to folks and we say, "I've got this good news that you need to hear, because I believe that having faith in Christ helps us to live out better lives." And that takes on, you can go any number of different directions from there, but that's kind of the starting point, is seeking people out. But in order then to be able to take that next step, everyone's got a need that has to be met. Sometimes that is a literal need for food, that someone just needs something to eat. Sometimes it is more of a metaphorical need, and something else that has to be in there, but we have to be fed in some way to meet that need. I ran across this quote from, I forgot, I left that song on there from last time, so I didn't take it off when I sent the PowerPoint to Carolyn. But I ran across this quote, and it's from Mahatma Gandhi. It says, "There are people in the world so hungry that God cannot appear to them except in the form of bread." For me, that was a very clear statement of what we've got going on. That sometimes the way that God appears to us is to help us meet that need because he knows that's what has to be taken care of so we can take that next step forward. And that's really the challenge for us is, where do we go about doing this? We see Jesus do this in our gospel reading for this morning. Jesus, who had just gotten horrible news about a man that he respected greatly. Right before this, we hear the news that John the Baptist had been killed. And Jesus, at the start of our reading, is going off to be by himself for a while. And this crowd of people that were there, they see Jesus go off, and he goes off to do his thing, and they try and go around to catch up with him and find him. And they come back, and Jesus sees them, and he has compassion on them, and he starts to heal the sick among them. And that was when, as the story goes, as Jesus was out there, as the story goes, that it got to be late in the afternoon, and the disciples come up and say, "Jesus, you got to send these people away because they're going to be getting hungry soon. They've been out here for a while." And Jesus is like, "I don't think that's such a great idea. I don't know how many little villages are out here. I don't know how much stuff is out here. I don't know how many people are here. That ain't going to work out very well. We've got to feed them." And the disciples look back at him and they say, "Well, that ain't going to work, Jesus. All we've got are these 2 little fish, these 5 loaves of bread, and we had to bug them off this little kid that brought him his lunch. We can't do that." Jesus says, "But you can't do it. I think I can handle that." And so he takes them and he gives thanks to God. He breaks the bread and divides it up among his disciples and says, "All right, y'all take this out and start feeding people." Now I look at that and see 2 little fish that don't have enough scales on them to feed 5,000 people, much less to actually fill them up. But as the story goes, not only were they able to fill all 5,000 men, plus women, plus children, so we're talking about 7, 8, 10,000 people possibly, that were fed off of all of this. There were still 12 baskets full of stuff left over. And the important part of this story is not the miracle that Jesus does when he's able to feed so many people. The important part of this story is that Jesus saw there was a need that needed to be met. That all the good work that he had done that day could have been lost if these people went away hungry. They would have remembered that we had a good day, but they wouldn't have remembered what. Jesus feeding them and taking care of that need means that they go away, they remember that Jesus fed them, and they will probably remember also what he had taught and the other things that he had done. Because he sought out and met the need that they had. Now the challenge for us is, what do we do to help meet that kind of need? We've got to find a place where we can start that out. I went to a workshop at a conference that I admit I was kind of leery of, because I get leery at some workshops because I've read most of those books, and I've heard most of those workshops in many different places with many of those books with many different authors, but they're all saying the same thing. So I was kind of like, I'll go, I'm not sure about what it is she's going to say, but I'll listen, or I'll try to anyway. She gave a very good workshop. It was on breakthrough prayer. And the point of this breakthrough prayer is not to make sure we are praying in the right way or we're saying all the right words. And these aren't the kind of prayers that you just offer kneeling at the rail, or you just offer in a quiet room in your home, where you're completely free of distractions. But this is the kind of prayer that first says, "God, we want to ask you to come and break through. Break through who we are and where we are, to help us see what's going on, to see the needs around us, and to do something new and something different." But here's the part that I think is really important about this. That kind of prayer, to offer it, is important. But the other important part of it is some of the suggestions she talked about. She said, it may just start off with on Sunday morning, you come to church a little bit early, and you stop at the end of each pew, and you visualize the people you know who sit there, because we are creatures of habit. We sit in the same places every Sunday. And if there's not anyone that sits there, you think about the people who might be sitting there, and where they might be coming from, and who they might be. And you're starting to just offer that prayer. You say, "God, help us to break through. Help us to see their needs. Help us to do this with them and, and give thanks for who they are. And you do that, you stop at each pew down along the way. That's the place to start. And you don't have to do that just inside at the pews. You can do that. You can go out. One suggestion I heard say, go out to the parking lot, and you stand at each corner of the parking lot, and you look out. If you're standing up in this corner, you look out that direction, and you see all the stuff for all the people, all the homes that are out that direction, and you offer that prayer there. And you repeat that as you go to each corner of the parking lot. You might do that, just walking around your neighborhood at home, or walking around the neighborhood here around the church, and stop at each street corner and do that. Or if you don't want to get out and walk, or if it's raining, because apparently June in Missouri means that it's always raining, you do that, you stop in your car. But the biggest point of it is that we aren't focused like this, but we are focused out like this, looking out to see everything that is around us, to see the folks that are around us, to see what God wants us to see. Ask God to break through and say, God, where do we need to go now? I can see who is around me. How do we go forward from there? That's the place to start. So this week I want you to take time and just find one place where you can go and make that kind of prayer. If it's around your home, if it's here at church, if it's out at work, if it is, if it's just stopping at a couple of aisles in the middle of Walmart, down at the end of the aisle, and just kind of putting your hand up on the shelf and just taking a second and doing that and looking around and seeing all the people that are there. Find a place, someplace this week where you can stop and offer that kind of prayer. And ask God to break through and help us to see the folks that are around us and the need that is around us, and help us to take that next step moving forward. Amen.